It's Jeffrey Sledge, and I just want to start by saying thank you to each and every one of you who has been supporting these first 25 episodes of Mixed and Mastered. When we started this show, I wanted to sit down with people I respected and never got to hear their side of the story. Execs, designers, producers, writers, people who have shaped the culture with some of the biggest artists in music. And the love we've gotten back, man, it's been overwhelming in the best way. You've let me know that these conversations matter and they resonate. Recording these episodes have been so much fun. Laughs, inside talk, old stories being dropped, and hearing from my colleagues. Today, we've done something a little different. It wasn't easy, but I've picked 3 of the many moments that have stuck with me. Starting with Faith Newman, she takes us back to the wild early days of Def Jam, where she was one of the first 5 employees. Joseph Patel relives the chaos of the slap heard around the world, which was the night he won an Oscar. And finally, Grace Harry drops the story of stepping into Usher's world and helping make him the superstar that he is today. This is Mixed and Mastered Best Of. Welcome to Mixed and Mastered, the podcast where the stories of the music industry come to life. I'm Jeffrey Sledge, bringing you real conversations with the people who have shaped the sound of music. We're pulling back the curtain on what it takes to make it in the music business. These are the stories you won't hear anywhere else, told by the people who live them. This is Mixed and Mastered. So how did you get to Def Jam? Because you came up to be a student.
Yes. I came up to be a student, but, my goal was to be in the music industry, like not as an intern, but full, and I started by, this is a weird story. Okay. So I modeled when I first came to New York.
Okay.
And, some print work, advertising stuff, whatever. And I did a fashion show at Studio 54, which wasn't like it was in the old days, but they were still having events there.
Mm-hmm.
And this guy, my mom was there with me, and this guy comes up to me afterwards, and he's like, my name is Steve Kapitko. I'm a music attorney. Because they had asked the girls who were in the show what they wanted to do with their life, and I said I want to be in the music business. So he said, if you ever have any questions or whatever, come to me and I'll, and it wasn't like I didn't get a skeevy kind of vibe from him, which turned out to be correct because he never was, because we stayed friends for many years. He got me an internship at Select Records.
Wow. Fred Mineo.
So that was, Whistle, UTFO, Real Roxanne.
Was Kid and Play there at the time?
Not yet.
Okay, they weren't there yet. Okay.
Mm-hmm. This was like the summer of '86.
Okay.
I want to say.
Okay.
So I did that, and then Steve, and then there's such weird stories. I go to a party with Steve for Billy Ocean's platinum record party. There's a Jive Records party, and so Barry would have been there. I don't know if Clive would have been there.
Probably.
And that's where I met Gary Harris. And Gary Harris was like, we just started talking about music, and he was like, I don't even know, like, where do you come from? Like, I don't understand. Who are you? And he said, you should. I said, I'm looking. My internship at Select is ending. I'm looking to get another internship. And he suggested that I reach out to his friend at Columbia Records who was doing promotion at the time. So I got in late 86, I turned 21, and I had this big party, and Houdini was there, and Run DMC was there, and the Beastie Boys were there. It was pretty awesome.
Yeah.
And so I started an internship at Columbia Records, which was very enlightening.
And now who did you work under as an intern?
I worked under a woman named Gail Bruswitz, who did dance club promotion.
Okay. And just give me a little brief overview how you liked it.
I stuffed envelopes, and I kept my ears and my eyes open.
Yeah.
I mean, the company was run by, white men and strictly, and women were relegated to assistants or PR. And Gail was the only woman in the promotion department. And so I can't even imagine what she had to deal with,
Yeah, yeah. It was a different when I left Wild Pitch and I went to Chrysalis Records, which was Billy Idol and Pat Benatar, and it was pretty much a rock
Yeah.
label.
Yeah.
But it was the same thing. It was like white dudes. Like, it was the
Yep.
same thing. Rock and roll, like white dudes, and the women were assistants, and there was the
Yep.
woman in PR, and I still remember her name, Frances Pennington,
Yeah.
because Frances actually was the guy from Tears for Fears' girlfriend. But
Hmm.
it was the same energy. That was the record business back then. It was like
That
that's
was
how it was
totally the
structured.
record business back then, and I had to
Mhm.
deal with getting hit on by the
Yeah.
40 something guys in the promo department. And because you got to think that those guys started out in the 70s,
Mm-hmm.
right? Because 86 is only 10 years apart from
Exactly.
76, and you could just, like that whatever was going on back then, they carried it through.
Carried it through. Exactly. Exactly.
And Walter Yetnikoff had actually just left when I got there, so I'm sure that would have been interesting.
Yeah.
Um,
So tell me how you get from that to now. Let me tell the people, because I don't know if you're going to say this, but
yeah,
you were one of the first 5 employees of Def Jam Records.
that's correct.
That's insane.
Yes,
That's
it's
like
insane.
literally insane to like know like
Yeah,
you were there. You were like Crush Groove or whatever. Like you were literally there at the beginning, like when all that,
yeah,
what they show in the movie, like in the from the
right.
dorm room to the thing and all that. You were like literally there for all of that. So
Hmm.
tell us about that.
Just to backtrack real quick, my internship was ending with Columbia, and on my last day of my internship, Gail took me in her office and said, do yourself a favor and get out of this business. It's no place for women. She was crying. I mean, this was
Wow.
like, she's like, they'll like eat you alive and, try to find something else to do with your life before you
Wow.
leave.
Wow.
I'm like, I'm 20 years old, so I'm
Yeah.
like,
I'll be all right.
I'll be all right. Don't worry about me. I know what
Yeah.
I'm
I
doing,
got I got this. I got this. Yeah.
you know, so, so, so then like Steve came through again and he said, look, I have got you an interview with Charles Huggins at Hush Productions.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah,
Charles and Bo Huggins.
Charles and Bo Huggins. So I think it was to be an assistant to Hank Talbert.
I didn't
Remember
know him.
Hank?
I didn't know Hank Talbot. No.
And so I did the interview. They wanted to hire me. The day before I was supposed to go back to meet Charles, um, I came home from class. I was still at NYU.
Hmm.
Came home from class, and there's a note on the refrigerator said Rick Rubin called.
Wow.
I said to my roommate, I was like, is this a joke? And he said, no, I don't think so. He said, it sounded for real. So I called the number slowly, and Rick, you know how he has that way of speaking. He's like, hello.
Hmm.
This is, Faith Newman, and, I know you called. He said, yep. Um, we need some more people at Def Jam, and we want to hire you. I was like, okay,
Yeah, bet.
okay, yeah, And he said, do you want to know how much you're going to make? And I'm like, I don't care. I'm like, I'll pay you.
Exactly.
I was broke, but I was like, I will pay you.
So what
I
was
think my
out at that
parents,
time?
my
LL
parents sent me $50 a week. That was like
was
that's what I
LL
was.
out at that time?
Hmm?
Was the LL out at that time? Was that album out? The first album?
The first album, yeah.
Wow. And was the Beastie? But the Beasties, no.
The Beasties had just put out License to Ill.
Just okay.
Just
Wow.
yes,
Wow. That's
yes.
crazy.
And Public Enemy,
The first album.
the first album.
Wow.
So it's funny. So he's like, "Well, come see me at the office, and we can talk about what you're going to be doing and stuff." And so I go see him, and and he's like, I was talking, because I was also, club kid. So I was at Latin Quarter,
Mm-hmm.
and I was at Union Square, and I was at Rooftop, and I was at all those places. And I used to go to
Mm-hmm.
Music Factory to get my records. And he was just like, "Where's I going with this?" Yeah. Oh, yeah. So I said I would talk. I was talking about like new hip hop stuff that was coming out, and he was like, "Yeah, I'm not really. I'm in a different place right now. I'm more into like rock stuff right now." So that's what like he like had already like he was such a visionary. I gotta say. I mean, you know this was early '87, and he was already like moving on to
Moving
like
on. Yeah.
Danzig and Slayer and all the stuff that he was doing at that time.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Wow.
So this was April of '87, and my first day at Def Jam was June 1st, 1987.
And who were the other four employees? Do you remember?
Sure. Yeah. Dave Funkenklein, we
Yeah,
called
Dave.
him.
That was
Dave
my guy. That was my
Funkenklein.
guy,
Dave is the
man.
best.
Loved him.
George Solmers,
I didn't know
Bill
him.
Stepney, Lindsey Williams,
Wow.
and Dawn Greco.
Okay, I didn't know her. Yeah. So I know
She was
three
the
out of the.
account.
I know three out of the five. Okay. So how was it like starting a small label like that became like obviously a
It was
powerhouse?
amazing. I mean, we worked in a shitty little office, like on the second floor, 298 Elizabeth Street, which had no heat and no air conditioning. And I would like complain to Russell. I'm like, it's so cold in here. I don't know what to do. He's like, go home. That was
uh
so Russell. Yeah, it was, but it was like the time of my life. I gotta say, it
yeah.
just, it was funny because people would come from around the world to Def Jam, and they would walk into our little office and be like, "Oh, this is it,
Yeah, right. Thinking it's gonna be some big old like
right?"
conglomerate, you know?
Rush management on the ground floor was much more impressive than we did.
Wow.
But it was like we shared desks and phones. There weren't enough for everybody. Oh, did I mention George Solmers?
You did. I didn't
I
know him.
did. Okay, I just want to make sure
What did he
to
do?
mention George.
What did George do?
George did like he did stuff with getting sponsorships from Troop, from some skateboard company that I can't remember the name of.
Okay. Okay.
He did like that kind of stuff.
Cool.
And Dave Klein did promotion and
Yeah.
marketing stuff.
So I'm thinking about my first experience at my first record company job.
Yeah,
Did you even know kind of what you were doing, or you just kind of doing shit?
I just kind of did whatever needed to be done. I
Exactly.
remember none of the artists had signed up with a PRO, so I took everybody on a field trip to ASCAP and got them all signed
Wow.
up.
So
That
they didn't
was
even know they
fun.
had money out there because they weren't signed
Yeah,
up.
yeah, yeah. They were leaving money on the table,
Wow.
so that was one thing that I did, and
Did
it's
that
like
start
whatever
your
came.
did, did that
I'm
start your
sorry.
interest?
Go ahead.
I'm sorry, to cut you off. Did that start your interest in publishing?
It did. It did. It did. It was funny. I mean, and the way you had to do things back then in terms of copyrights was like getting a cassette and getting a lyric sheet and mailing it to the Library of Congress. I mean, that's. So
Wow.
I remember like being with Flav, and I was doing Don't Believe the Hype, and I was typing out the lyrics, and he said, "No, gee, I can do it." And he's like starts typing with like one finger. Like, he was so great. Yeah.
Oh wow. No,
Yeah.
let me ask you a question. What were some of your favorite records during that period from Def Jam and just in general? Do you remember?
Oh yeah, well, Slick Rick, Great Adventures. I mean, come on.
Yeah. I listened to
And
that record the other day.
yeah, it still holds up.
It holds up. Crazy.
And PE, Nation of Millions, just genius. And then later on, Third Base, like the Cactus album, which
Of
I
course.
love.
Of course.
LL when he did the like I wasn't a huge fan of Panther, but
Hmm.
I thought that Mama Said Knock You Out was like a
Yeah,
game
that was
changer.
amazing. Yeah,
Yeah,
I wasn't a fan of the Panther album, but there were a couple records on there. I just thought, like, I still remember that record Fast Peg, and there was
yeah,
a couple of records. There was a couple records on there that was amazing,
yeah,
but like as an album, it was kind of. But then you look backwards, and it was kind of visionary. The album wasn't great because he was working with West Coast people.
right,
So he was kind of, pushing the line and
right,
doing it, doing things that people do now, like take for granted. He was
right,
doing that back then.
right. And Marley turned everything around, so
Yeah,
which
yeah,
is great
yeah.
because I did a deal with him here, so it's all like full circle.
Full circle. I'm sure you got a lot of full circles.
I got a lot of full circle moments.
Give me one before we move to Columbia and Nas and
Yeah.
everything. Give me one crazy Def Jam story. Yeah, I know you got a billion of them, but give me one that doesn't incriminate anybody or something like that. But
Oh man, I might have to come back to you on that.
okay, we could do it after. We could do it later.
Yeah, I'll come back to you. I'm trying to think. There's so many.
Okay,
I'll
yeah,
think of
fine,
one. Yeah.
fine. So as Def Jam started to grow, like what was that like watching, this company that you started? You said 5 people, and you guys had no air and no heat, and it's cold, and there's probably mice in there and
Yeah.
all kind of shit.
Yeah.
To
Yeah.
like to grow into like becoming what becoming a legit powerhouse record label. What was that? What was that like?
Um, for me, I'm a purist, and I felt like what happened is that Rick left, as you know.
Mm-hmm.
He just moved. He just said to me he was going to LA one day, and he never came back. And so Russell was much more interested in starting a modeling agency and talking about a clothing line at that point.
Mm.
And there was this power vacuum there at Def Jam, and that's when Lior stepped in.
Okay.
And that was difficult for me because we had the Rush Associated Labels situation, which everybody was getting the label. You want a label, you want a
Mm-hmm.
label, you want a label,
Mm-hmm.
and slapping the Def Jam logo on it. And I thought that it was, diluting the label. Because
Right.
if you went to Music Factory or you went to Tower Records or you went wherever, if you saw a Def Jam label, you bought it
Immediately.
immediately. And that wasn't the case anymore. And I felt like we were becoming too big and too unwieldy. And that was kind of like, and when I made the decision to,
Mm.
yeah,
Yeah, I remember that era because that's kind of when I started. I mean, it was like, so everybody got a label, and it was like bitches with problems, and it was like all these
yeah,
kind of small, kind of or the afros and all this
right,
kind of stuff, and it was cool, but it was like where's the heat?
the
The heat,
heat, right.
the
It
heat that
wasn't
you
Def
expect.
Jam,
It wasn't Def Jam anymore.
right.
So after you leave Def Jam, where do you go next?
Columbia Records, right back to Columbia,
Full circle.
full circle. Not as an intern this time, but as an A&R person.
And we'll be right back. Ready to launch your podcast? Merrick Studios offers comprehensive services, from concept development and seamless production to strategic marketing and monetization. Let your story take the mic. Visit merrickcreative.com/studios and let's get to work. And now, back to our show.
I'm gonna ask maybe I don't know if it's a silly question, but I've never met anybody else win an Oscar but you. How does it feel to win an Oscar, bro?
Yeah, man. Never in my wildest dreams did I think that was going to happen. We never aimed for it. We never thought it was possible. We never talked about it. And then, we just want to make a movie that we loved and that we thought our friends would love and our parents would love. And we did. And then we bring it to Sundance. I remember getting the call. It's going to Sundance. I'm like, oh my God, it's the greatest day of my life.
Mm-hmm.
A movie I made is going to Sundance Film Festival. Then it's virtual that year. Then we screen it. People love it. Then we win Sundance. Not only the audience award, but the grand jury prize. I'm like, this is the best it'll ever get. And then 3 days later, there's a bidding war between Barack Obama's production company and Netflix on one side, and Hulu and Searchlight on the other.
You're
I'm
like,
like,
what the hell is going on?
And then we partner with Hulu and Disney and Onyx Collective and Searchlight. They're like, we're going to put it out in theaters. It's going to be on Hulu. I'm like, this is the greatest thing in the world. This is the greatest feeling in the world.
Yeah.
Movie comes out, people love it. I'm waiting for the bad reviews. There's no bad reviews. Like people, it's still got like a 99% on Rotten Tomatoes or something.
Amazing. It's amazing. There's no flaws. 5 mics would say.
No, I mean, it's crazy. I realize, and I say this with all humility, like because it came from a genuine place, I think it's one of the best music documentaries ever made, right?
I agree with you.
Because I think it's a story it hits on so many different levels. And it's a story about Black history and how Black history is American history. It's also a story about memory and the things that we remember and the things that we cherish and like who gets to determine what's remembered and what's not, right?
Mm-hmm.
It hits on different levels. And none of it was accidental. All of it was very intentional. It just kept getting better. To get nominated for an Oscar, I cried. My mom was up at like 5 a.m. her time and like watching, and it just validated so many. My parents who didn't want me to do what I was doing, didn't understand it, suddenly are very proud, right? That came full circle. Really getting to experience the whole thing with Amir was incredible because, like, working with your musical hero is like,
yeah.
And then the Oscars themselves, and then what happened at the Oscars is insane, right? You were
there. The Will Smith slap.
That was our category. That was Chris Rock presenting us the Oscar, and
That's
then
crazy.
And then the next day I hear Chris Rock say something disparaging, where he's like, the winner is Summer of Soul, Amir Questlove Thompson, and 4 white guys, right? Which is like just such a shitty thing to say when like only a dozen people had ever won Oscars, South Asian people had ever won Oscars before. And he knew better. Like he knew better.
Yeah.
He said the same joke on stage at the Roots show 2 nights earlier. I in hindsight, I cut him a little slack now because he probably was traumatized in the moment and didn't know what to do. Also fuck him.
Yeah.
But the Oscar professionally changes your life, but real talk, it's great that it's happened. I feel like I don't have to explain myself now when I want a meeting or in the room somewhere.
Yeah.
The powers that be, like I can get any meeting that I need to.
Mm-hmm.
That's a really great card to have. But honestly, the thing that makes me proudest is that we made a great movie.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like really, it's nice to have the Oscar. It's nice to be in the history books. It's nice to never have to explain my ability to somebody ever again. It frees me up to do the other things that I want to do.
Where's your trophy?
Right now it's downstairs on a shelf, on where my record player is. Like
I should have told you to bring it on.
Yeah, no, I mean, it used to be in the Zoom shot because I wanted to make sure no one ever got it twisted in a pitch meeting. But I moved recently, so I'm still a little
unpackaged,
disorganized. Yeah, but
tell me how you got from that accolade to doing the Sly Stone doc.
Yeah, so Sly actually
also amazing.
Thank you. Sly got announced after Sundance, so before the Summer of Soul even came out. I read in Hollywood Reporter that Amir has signed up to direct a Sly and the Family Stone documentary. And I call him up. I'm like, yo, congrats. Do you want me to work on this with you? And he's like, yeah, of course. And I'm like, okay, cool. I need to be a part of the conversation next time.
Yeah.
I am not a hired hand. Like I'm part of the announcement now.
Exactly.
And I didn't know what I was going to do after Summer of Soul. I didn't know how this business worked. So I didn't know Summer of Soul was going to be that successful. So I was like, yeah, I'd love to do this. It took a while to get that project started because we had to sort of like, I didn't work for like a year because what no one tells you is if your movie comes out and it starts to do the awards circuit, you are expected to promote it. You don't get paid to do that. I'm doing Sly promotion now and it's taking away from the thing I'm actually getting paid to do.
Yeah.
So I spent a whole year before we even started Sly after it got announced. But that was really because Amir wanted to do it. And I didn't know a lot about Sly. I just knew the music really through hip hop and what I heard on the radio, but I didn't know the story. And so, I spent the first few months really just trying to get some fluency about his story together. And then the way Amir and I work is I ask him, we have a conversation. What kind of story do you want to tell? And he kept talking about not only, Sly, everyone knows the ups and downs of Sly's story, but like, he's like, how do we approach it with some empathy?
Yeah.
And then it's really the bigger idea is that, a lot of black artists in America have a unique burden. And he's like, if you trace it back, it's probably Sly's probably the first artist to have this specific unique burden. Post-civil rights rock superstar who has to navigate black audiences, white critics, the record label power structure. And he's like, he has no template. He has no one to follow.
Yeah.
He's doing it for the first time. And how some of those same issues that he dealt with had reverberated in the decade since.
Yeah, I thought that was an interesting angle that you guys took, like the kind of black genius thing with him and D'Angelo and Andre 3000 and like people who get even Q-Tip, people kind of get to that level, and Prince, maybe we can go on and on. Michael,
Yeah.
we could mention 40 of them, and like you get to that height, and like how do you do it? It gets crazy, and like you're so removed from who you were, because you're so high up the ladder now. It's kind of like he wasn't the guy from the radio DJ from San Francisco, was like way in the fucking rearview mirror. So like, how do you? Yeah, no, it was a very, and I was happy that you guys had tapes of him being a radio DJ, because I don't know how many people knew about that part of it and how influential he was when he was doing that.
Yeah, and it's funny because if you think about it, he's on the radio playing black and white music together. And in a way, he's sort of like seeding his audience that he would play to for his band a few years later. Mm-hmm. When Sly and Family Stone comes out, there's a whole bunch of people who are primed to hear that kind of mix of styles because they listen to him on the radio. And, I think Amir, we got D'Angelo and Q-Tip and Shaka and Andre as proxies for Sly.
Yes.
Because we couldn't talk to Sly. He's alive, but just not in a place where you should put him on camera.
Not healthy. Yeah.
And we wanted him to have his dignity, right? We didn't want to like hang him out there like that.
Yeah.
That's what the whole movie's about. It's like, this man has given us so much. Let's just let him live in peace. Right.
Yeah.
But, D'Angelo, Amir was a witness to D'Angelo facing the pressure on the Voodoo Tour every night, having to be in perfect physical condition every night so we could take his shirt off and do How Does It Feel to a room full of screaming fans. And how it got harder and harder for him to do that. Andre, everyone wants him to rap. He saw what this did to other people. And he says, I don't want anything to do with this. I'm off the radar. Don't think about me. Yep. I'm going to go play a flute.
In Japan, you just walk around on the street in Tokyo. Yeah,
Q-Tip has this line in the film where he's like, when you're black and you're innovative, they may look at you like you're odd. Yeah. Like, can you imagine, like, how many people call Q-Tip gay back in the day, right?
Yeah, I do.
Or if you're just a little different, they're like, oh, he's gay. And that was like 20 years ago, 30 years ago when the homophobia was at an all-time high. Mm-hmm. Now it's just like, oh, this dude's weird. He's or you're alt rap.
Yeah.
Like that's the thing I think that black artists have had to deal with in this country that other artists haven't had to. I think women have their own unique issues.
I was able to say, even with Nina Simone, like, now you look back at a lot of the things that she was fighting for and talking about, it makes fucking perfect sense.
Yeah.
Like, she crazy. She knew these guys were trying to jerk her, and she wanted to be respected and paid for her work. Like, she wasn't a nut at all.
And who's the other one for our generation is Lauren, right? Yep. Lauren didn't participate in the film, but when we were making the film, she had that viral clip of her in LA where she's like, do you know how hard it is for me to get prepared mentally to come on stage every night and perform for you? Mm-hmm. And people took it out of context, but her whole rant is actually the theme of our film. Mm-hmm. It's like, you think, like, yeah, it's an interesting thing. And then also post Oscars, Amir was like feeling guilty about being successful. That whole idea that success, like, be careful what you wish for.
Survivor's remorse kind of thing.
Yeah, because here he is. He gets an Oscar right out the gate, his first documentary. And he's like, is my band going to treat me the same? I feel bad that Tariq wasn't a part of this. This guy I've been with on my journey for 30 years. Like, are people going to be like, oh, that's just Amir being Amir? You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
that's he ducked away after the Oscars for a few months because I couldn't get a hold of him because he was just trying to like reset and like deal with it. Yeah. So I think what makes the thing that connects both films is that I think what Amir and I are really good at is how do you tell a very specific story that actually resonates to a bigger idea?
Yeah.
And I think both these films are that.
So tell us, let's wrap it up and tell me about the next project you're working on. I know about, but you break it down.
Yeah, so we I'm not working with Amir on Earth, Wind and Fire. I didn't work with him on SNL. But we're doing a Jay Dilla documentary. We've been trying to put it together for 3 years. I am directing that one. Amir is executive producing that one.
Okay.
It's based on Dilla Time by Dan Charnas, our friend.
Yes.
Very thoroughly researched book.
Very.
We just started about 2 weeks ago. Hope to be done by this time next year, which will be the 20th anniversary of Dilla's death.
Wow. It's been 20 years. Wow.
And really it's about how, and it's a passion project, but it's like how, it's about Dilla and what he did to music and also why we celebrate him more in death than in life. And also it's about time. It's about the way Dilla manipulated time, but also about the way artists or the way people live their life when they think they have all the time in the world, and then what they do when they realize they don't have any time at all.
Yeah, no, the clock is, the sand is running out.
I mean, for me, COVID was that, right? I think during COVID, I realized, oh, there's not a lot of time left. Like, you will not catch me doing anything I don't want to do anymore because time is valuable.
Yeah.
So being here with you is because I wanted to be here with you.
I appreciate it. I wanted you on here. I mean, look at us. We got gray hair now.
I know.
But we're still rocking, Man, I really appreciate this. This is a great interview, bro.
And thank you, man. I appreciate you asking.
I feel like we could talk for 5 hours, honestly. I know we could.
I will say this. I never thought I'd be in a position where people would want to hear my story. And I am appreciative of it. I'm appreciative of people who learn lessons from it. I spend a lot of my time post Oscars, honestly, mentoring younger kids, not even younger, like even like some people my age too. I'm part of Sophia Chang's mentorship program. I'm part of Joey Badass's mentorship program. I meet young South Asian filmmakers or creatives, and they ask for time. I'll give them time because I just feel like, I got blessed. It's a result of a lot of hard work, but if I can make that path a little easier for other people, because no one taught me about the industry, I had to find out on my own. If I can make that path easier for somebody else, so there's more time creating and less time trying to figure the bullshit out. That's my purpose on the planet while I'm still here.
And that's what sparked me doing this podcast.
I think that's a good thing.
People that I know and respect that have had, success, but maybe even had to pivot, and kind of go here to figure out the next steps and everything. And hopefully people listening will hear these stories and be like, oh, okay. And that's the guy who did the slide doc, that's the whole point of this. So
I can't wait till it flips around and someone gets to interview you, because I know you got stories.
Yeah, I got some stories.
And actually, one story you told me has never left me. I remember you told me the story of when you signed the pack, and you were like, I'm the guy that signed Tribe Called Quest, and they're like, who? Who
the hell are you talking about?
And I will always remember that story because it was one of the things that taught me that. Something Dreamhampton taught me a long time ago. Hip hop is whatever little black and brown kids say it is.
Yes.
They are not tied to your history. They are making their own.
You can't fight it. You can't be like, yo, hot. Like I remember, we'll wrap it up. I remember a couple months ago, people were on Kai Cenat because he didn't know who Big Pun was.
Right.
I'm like, he's 22.
Yeah, you can't be mad at that dude.
He's been dead about that long, sadly. Like, he might not know. He's a kid. He's a child. Yeah. And what hip hop is for him is, Drake and Playboy Cardi and whatever's popping now. And
it's not Biggie.
It's not Biggie, man.
Yeah.
No. And I can't be mad at him for it not being that for him and his generation.
Yeah.
And we'll be right back.
Master the art of lyricism with Pendulum Mink, the first school for rap. Learn elite techniques through immersive lessons, real-world exercises, and guidance from hip-hop icons. This is where MCs sharpen their skills and glow boldly on the mic. Ready to level up? Visit pendulummink.com and start your journey today.
And now, back to our show.
So what? Now, was that your last industry job, Def Jam? Correct.
So what had happened was everyone was so obsessed with artists at that place. That's the one thing. We signed Janet Jackson and different people and Mariah, and I ended up doing a lot of projects that weren't so fun. And I was just starting to get tired. And my team now, because I was talking so much shit, grew, and I was now the EVP of creative, marketing, and digital. And I really had no business doing marketing at all because I really didn't know it. I'm not good at that. You have to be a very detail-oriented person. But I hired Karen Veazey and some other people. But by that point, maybe I wasn't fucking the right people. So everything I did started to be bad. So now I'm in these marketing meetings where I'm getting slaughtered by LA. Like, it was brutal.
I've heard about those meetings.
But literally, like, slaughtered. And so I was getting sick and tired of it. I'd had some complicated things where people had crossed the boundaries with me in ways that were not okay. So I was already pissed. And then my love, Shakir, was like battling a lot of stuff. The way he was being handled was disgusting. So when he took his life, I had some very strongly worded conversations and I was out. And at the same time, there was this artist who, whatever, but he brought in this kid he'd signed. And this kid was 14. His name was Justin Bieber. And he brought this manager, Scooter Braun. And I wasn't going to just trick out money. This is not the 90s. Like, I didn't operate that way. The way I operate with all new artists, as you know, is I'm going to take a tiny budget and I'm going to do some small things and see where we go. So I wanted to do a video and a photo shoot for Justin Bieber to see what he needed. Did he need training? Does he need whatever? And Usher was furious and was battling me about it. And I think Scooter was more open to kind of this.
Justin was signed to Usher at this time, correct?
And signed now to Island Def Jam Mercury.
To Def Jam, yes.
I think to Island, actually.
Okay.
To Island Mercury. But I ran the creative for all Island Def Jam and Mercury group. When that whole thing happened, I started working very closely with Scooter and Usher. And Usher's career was not going so well at the time. It was post Tamika. He'd made a lot of stances. He was a little bit ahead of his time in that now it is so cool to be about a relationship. Then it wasn't. He was a heartthrob. It was weird. He did that weird TRL thing. And he kept asking me to help him. And I was like, I have a contract. I cannot be helping you, you know? And frankly, I'm not a fan. You know, I'm not. I like 2 songs. He took my iPod at the moment. I had 2 songs on there. Love in the Club and You Got It Bad. That was it. And but then when Shakir passed, I said to him and Ciara and I, because at one point Rihanna was blowing up and she really needed dedication. And there was a lot of people who had the Chris Lighty thing where I only talk to the head, which I'm not about that. Talk to who's the best person. So I had Mariah and Jay and Janet and Kanye. It was a lot at the same time. I think Big Sean.
That's a lot.
So I introduced Rihanna and Ciara. And there's the girl who was doing the Justin Bieber stuff, Gabrielle Schwartz. And I was like, I think you two will be the best Rihanna team. And put them together. So now me and Ciara are going to form a company to work with Usher, possibly Kanye with some conversations, and Usher. So I started this little company. We started a company called Pyre, and we started doing things with them. But I couldn't have imagined how much work that was going to be. So I was working with Lionel Richie at the time, and I met Randy, who was his manager, and he was bragging he had another carve out. And I realized that what Janetta did with Usher at the time was try to bring his touring back to females and did for ladies only tour. And that was wonderful in concept, but you know how touring is. So once you're a stadium or arena, if you go to theater, the promoters think you're theater. So I had this challenge now. So I brought Randy in and I was going to just kind of help, you know, and now there was some funny business happening. So I'm kind of like a girlfriend-ish. So I was trying to just not be in the thick of it. And so Randy came in and that was fantastic, but it needed so much more. I just didn't know. I was so inexperienced. I had no idea. I think not knowing really what management really needed was good for me at the time. And then I went into full management when Usher and Randy just imploded. And that was hard. And I did a kick-ass job. I've told you, I called Barry.
Yeah.
Barry had always been a champion of mine. And I called him about this opportunity and he shit all over my dream. Like, he's like, no, you're not going to be a good manager. Don't do this. And that fueled the shit out of me. And I was like, I'm going to make this happen. And that changed his film business, got him in movies,
Yeah.
The Voice, rearranged, helped him figure out how to start writing songs. Climax was the first song he really wrote, Wes and Salam Remy, and, his style, art, philanthropy. Like, I really worked the shit out of that for multiple years.
You really did a great job at really reinventing him. You can catch Mixed and Mastered on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, iHeart, or wherever you get your podcasts. Hit that follow button, leave a review, and tell a friend. I'm your host, Jeffrey Sledge. Mixed and Mastered is produced and distributed by Merrick Studios.